It's like an hour,
Okay.
maybe 47, maybe like 50 minutes.
Okay.
There's a
Okay.
couple of them out there though. There's like three
Okay.
of them. A fan did it. It's nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what's up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We caught a little bit of a behind the scenes conversation coming into episode 8 of Lando's Palace. Um, welcome, welcome. I am your co-host Kahari Mosley here with great Jedi Luke, aka Lukeman Abdul Salam, Nathaniel Broadus, aka Thando, in the house with the youngling in the building as well. You know what I'm saying?
The young
And
paddle.
the youngling Padawan initiate. As they say at the temple. Welcome everyone. We got a really cool show today. We're going to be talking about our top 3. We're going to do our top 3 countdown Star Wars characters of all time. We're going to talk about some of the latest news and what we're hearing about the New Republic era. Also they've been starting to put out character trailers for the High Republic, characters. That's something we could jump into, as well before we jump out of here. And just a lot of cool news that's been coming out about, Disney Plus, rumors about a 3-year Disney Plus series kind of revisiting the sequel trilogy. So this is a lot of stuff we're going to get into, but before we start, we're going to do a sneak preview, of the Siege of Mandalore, Revenge of the Sith mashup. At this point, actually, Luke Mon is the only one that's checked it out. We're going to do a full review next week, so it's going to be a no spoiler, kind of just a teaser. So like Luke Mon, tell us just real briefly, without any spoilers, get us hyped, to go check out the Siege of Mandalore, Revenge of the Sith mashup.
Well, definitely, man. If shout out to your man Chuck, right? He's the one that put it out there last week, man. It's a fan edit, and if you've seen, obviously, the Revenge of the Sith all the way up. If you've seen Clone Wars, the last 3 episodes, Clone Wars deals with the Order 666 from Ahsoka and Rex's point of view, right? So
right.
the Order is done, and it's done from her point of view, and you see everything from her point of view. So everything's supposed to be in live time, but from her point of view. So what this fan edit did was mash up Revenge of the Sith, like basically the last hour of Revenge of the Sith and those episodes of Clone Wars, and kind of mashed them together to create this fan edit, which is incredible when it comes to just, if you watch the Clone Wars and you're wondering what happened, what's going on at this time. I know Anakin's doing something. I know he's at the temple now. I know he's Darth Vader now. Well, now with this edit, you can kind of see everything, and everything flows in its proper time. And it runs about 50 something minutes, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a cool look. It's live action as well as animation. So you're going from the live action to the animation during the fan edit, you know what I'm saying? And it's a real dope piece.
That's what's up.
You can check it on YouTube.
Okay. Awesome. So let's jump into, before we get into our countdown, let's just jump into the latest news, and I'll start off just with some of the rumors that I've been seeing around potential storylines in the New Republic era, meaning like the Ahsoka piece, the Mandalorian, season 3 and beyond, the Rangers of the New Republic, the Cara Dune piece, and the Book of Boba Fett. And all those pieces kind of coming together to take you to, episode 7, Force Awakens, so I thought that was really interesting. Just wanted to, to get y'all feedback, and then we'll just bounce around with some of the other latest news that we've been hearing, from the Star Wars universe.
Nate?
Yeah. So first of all, I love the fact that they're like filling in the New Republic era stories. Like, I just think that that's what Star Wars does well. You know what I mean? Is like they put out these pieces of content, like these films, and then they fill in the gaps for fans really well. So like, I'm just really excited to see what comes out of it. As far as like what I'm really excited about, man, that Rangers of the New Republic's about to be crazy in my opinion. I'm geeked for that Rangers of the New Republic, man.
Right.
Yeah, same here, man. Rangers of the New Republic sounds like, when I first heard it, that was the show that when all the announcements was made, that was the one show that I was like, I don't know, man. We'll see, man. But now from what I'm hearing that from what they're saying, the leaks is that Luke Skywalker is going to play a major role in Rangers of the New Republic, and that some of his Jedi escapades from Legends is going to be put on in full display. And there's a major battle that's going to take place in the Rangers of the New Republic from Star Wars lore, supposedly, where Luke plays a major role and does some crazy stuff to win the battle. You know what I'm saying? So all that stuff's kind of leaking out. That's going to be in the Rangers. I'm really excited to get that information. Another one is Liam Nelson, coming back to play Qui-Gon Jinn in the Obi-Wan series, which we're hearing now is going to be more like a mini series, right? More like a
right. It's like 6 episodes.
Right, Kay. Right, exactly. You heard the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's exciting, man. And have Qui-Gon Jinn back up in this piece, man. Have that character. Supposedly he signed on to play and to be involved. Also, man, we're hearing that that Darth Vader is going to play a major role in the Ahsoka series. You know what I'm saying? So supposedly Ahsoka is going to be having some flashbacks. I mean, that's her master. Now she knows it's Darth Vader. So that's going to be kind of her dilemma, is the fact that now she realizes Darth Vader did all this damage in the universe. This is her master, who she still obviously has a connection to. And so that's going to be kind of her dilemma in that series. And we're hearing that there's going to be some Darth Vader flashbacks or Darth Vader assertions in that series as well. So, man, I mean, from what we're hearing, I think it's dope. And as we always say, when they leak stuff, man, they do it for a reason, man. When you hear about all these trade rumors, Deshaun Johnson wants to be traded, you know what I'm saying? There's a reason why you're getting those leaks, you know what I mean? To get responses. So I think all these leaks are coming out is to get fan response and to see what's going on with it. So those are the stuff this exciting stuff for me, man. That Obi-Wan series, man, looks like it's going to be real tight,
Right. Yeah. And they also, and I'll put it in the comments, they just started a High Republic TV show. That's, I think, going to be dropping once every other month. The first episode is about a half hour long. And they kind of ran through Light of the Jedi and A Test of Courage. I haven't had a chance to grab Test of Courage yet, but I'm really excited to check out A Test of Courage, which is kind of like the next story, in the canon of the High Republic era. You know what I mean? We have talked in past episodes, about the High Republic era. And, so we're not going to, get really heavy into it today, but definitely I'll drop the link for the show. There is spoilers in it, and they do have a nice kind of spoil alert, kind of system to let you know that if, you need to stop watching and turn the sound down if you don't want to find out, exactly what happens, you know what I mean, in Light of the Jedi, or, A Test of Courage, which is kind of the second book. It is, I believe it's a young adult book. It's much shorter. An audio book of Light of the Jedi is about 13 hours. A Test of Courage is about 4 hours. So I'm about to jump on that. And probably by next week, I'll be done with that and be able to, run down, A Test of Courage, you know what I mean? Which, is the next kind of installment, in the series. But there's also, the Marvel Comics as well, the High Republic I think issue number 1 that's dropped, and I think more is going to drop soon. So, and again, if you want to understand the entire canon of the High Republic, you are required to read all of the properties from the very early children's books that are going to be dropping, which Yoda is going to be more of the focus of. Yoda and a team of Padawans going on an adventure, which makes perfect sense that they're kind of promoting Yoda to the kids, and then and kind of introducing the older fans to new characters. You know what I mean? But that's kind of what's going on with the High Republic. I'll drop the link to there, and maybe a little bit later we'll check out a couple of these character bio video shorts that they've done, that they have been releasing, I think over like the last week or so. And I guess this might even be a good time to check it out right now, and then we'll go into the top 3 countdown. How about that? So what we're gonna watch right now is just 2 quick bios introducing new characters, from the High Republic canon. Give me 1 second. And the first character we're going to be introduced to is Avar Kriss, who is one of the main characters of Light of the Jedi, and the High Republic.
A paragon of the Order, her compassion as a leader is inspiring. While abundant in many abilities, some more rare than others, one of the simplest things that separates Avar from the other Jedi is that she sees the Force as music, eliciting tone, rhythm, and a beat. In an event that would come to be known as the Great Disaster, a ship traveling through hyperspace is thrown from its course without warning and plummets towards a nearby planet that is home to billions. Master Kriss steps up to lead the rescue effort. The High Republic is an era where the Jedi protect the glorious Republic from dangerous pirates, marauders, and raiders. But as the Republic expands its reach into the fringes of the galaxy, unpredictable threats await.
Yeah, so that was Avar Kriss, who is one of the main characters, of Light of the Jedi, who again, like one of, her superpower with the Force is, she hears the Force's music, and she does the Force mind meld. So whenever, she's engaging with the Force, she's kind of meditating, and then the Force starts to sing to her, like music, you know what I mean? Or it hears like melodies, and you know what I mean? But the music, you know what I mean? It communicates to her, you know what I mean, like in music, and then she activates, you know what I'm saying, her Force superpowers. So
interesting.
You know what I mean? Yeah. She's really a really dope character. So so the next character we're gonna check out real quick is Vernesta Rowe, who's also featured in the High Republic era.
Pioneering and adventure marks the era of the High Republic. Vernesta Rowe is gifted Mirialan Padawan of Jedi Master Stellan Gios. Her connection to the Force and her skills with the lightsaber are exemplary. At just 15 years old, Vern passed her Jedi trials and became one of the youngest Jedi Knights in the history of the Republic. Vern may be young and inexperienced, but the Jedi Council sees great promise. While accompanying delegates to the Starlight Beacon launch ceremony, a great disaster strikes, and Vern steps up to take command on her very first mission. This era is one of adventure and exploration for the Jedi, as they work to protect the Republic and illuminate the darkest corners of the galaxy with the light of the Force.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, so that was, a couple characters, from the High Republic. I know Nathaniel had to step away for a couple minutes. He'll be joining us, in a few minutes. But like I wanted to share those quick. So they're going to be doing a number of those over the coming days, weeks, and months, introducing bios of these characters that are featured, many of whom featured in Light of the Jedi, but also will be featured, in the upcoming comics, in the upcoming stories. We're really the only character that we're familiar with from this era is Master Yoda, but everybody else, is brand new characters.
So were they introducing? Is it on a website or,
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You can go to
Yeah.
to Star Wars' YouTube page. I'll actually drop both of those links in the comment section right now. And it's right on. You go to the Star Wars YouTube page, and they have a number of videos and This Week in Star Wars and a number of other things that they have on there that are giving you a quick update on the latest and the greatest that they're working on. But obviously, the High Republic is a high priority for Kathleen Kennedy. It's like one of like their baby. So
maybe her last baby.
Some rumors are correct, and I'm going to drop the link to the High Republic show again. So there's a show. They're dropping bios. They're creating a lot of content to really get people familiar, with these characters.
I wanted to ask you, because you read the book, Light of the
Right.
Jedi, and it kind of explains it. What's the protagonist? If this is a time of peace, right? What are the Jedi facing, and what's the protagonist in the story?
Antagonist.
I said protagonist, antagonist.
Yeah. It's a group called the Nile. And I'll see if I can find something real quick. But the Nile, actually, I think they did a bio video of the Nile too. I'll see if I can find it. But the Nile are like the bad guys. They are like basically like if you take like the concept of pirates and Vikings. Actually, I did find it. Okay, 1 second. So I'll pull it up. That's the beautiful thing about technology. That we can just pull it up. So I'm gonna pull up, make sure the audio's on. Okay, so this is the Nihil. These are the bad guys. So I'm gonna let them tell it.
The rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marks the era of the High Republic. Anarchists of the Outer Rim, the Nile, are masked marauders made up of stripes, clouds, and storms, all led by dangerous Tempest runners with the same mindset. You can't take it with you, but we can take it from you. An attack from the Nile is marked by ominous smoke and poisonous gases that serve to intimidate and then kill their prey. In the shadow of the great disaster, the Nile orchestrate a twisted plan and use their mysterious yet terrifying command of hyperspace to attack systems affected by the tragedy. As the Republic encroaches on their territory, the Nile use their sadistic tactics to stake their claim on the frontier.
I'm excited, man. And you know what else is dope is that like I read I'm into collecting comic books as we talked about before. So is Big Phil, who I haven't seen on here in a little while. Man, I got to go text hit his line and see what's up with him.
Right.
But man, like the High Republic #1 comic book has the first appear of Evar Chris and a bunch of those other folks, and then #2 will be the first appear of the Nile in the comic books.
Okay.
For folks who are interested, if you see him out there, collecting first appearances in comic books is a good way to, make your comic books double and triple in value. And all of these comic books are going to be the first time we're seeing any of these characters. You know what I mean? So.
Great point.
Right.
Definitely. Yes, no doubt.
Right.
No doubt. That's what's up, man. They look very promising. They look like a serious, antagonist. You know what I'm saying? They look like some like scavengers out this piece,
Right. And I don't want to like get into like what they can do, but they have a special way that they can manipulate, and they get into that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like in the story about, how they have this unique way of dealing with hyperspace, which gives them, like an ill advantage. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So so that's the Nihil, man. So like they really philosophically, are based upon, Vikings, like Marauders, think of people like that from history. You know what I'm saying? You think about like Genghis Khan and, you know what I mean, the great marauders of history, Vikings and just kind of brutal, hardcore, the Nihil do, get involved in, what would, be considered, adult-oriented activities. There are references to narcotics use and, and substance abuse, and particularly in the Light of the Jedi book about the behavior, of the Nihil. So it's real interesting, different perspective, you know what I mean? I'm sure they don't get into that in the children's books, but in Light of the Jedi, they definitely get into like, you know what I mean? Like the Nihil are like, almost like
gully cats.
Or like Point Break, you know what I mean? Wasn't that the movie Point Break? With Patrick Swayze in them, where they were like the wild, like surfer gang / burglar robber type dudes, you know what I mean? That partied hard and, you know what I mean? And wild out. And then when they weren't partying, they were like committing like wild crimes, you know what I mean? That's kind of like, that's pretty much like how the Nihil, rolls. They listen to a lot of like, in the background in the book, a lot of like kind of heavy metal type music plays in the background as the music for their scenes, you know what I mean? And to add, flavor, to the audio. I enjoy the Star Wars audiobooks, because the character, the voice acting, the music plays, you know what I mean? So it's almost like an audio play, more so than an audio book, you know what I mean? I guess we're at the point where we can jump into, we can start with Lando, we'll start with number 3, top, 3 Star Wars characters of all time, man. It took me all week to really think about, how I'm going to break this down, but I think I figured mine out, so we'll start with the Nathanielorians, number 3 character of all time.
All right, man. My number 3 is going to be a wild card, but I also got an honorable mention. Number 3 is Dash Rendar.
Okay.
From Shadows of the Empire.
Okay.
Like just as a kid, like that book and then the video game were huge to me. And he had the dope outfit on, he was dope. He was dope. I was a big fan of Dash Rendar. That's my number 3. My honorable mention is Wedge Antilles. I like, you know what I'm saying? Like he was the man to me also as a kid. I used to be into the Rogue Squadron books, and he was hard. So that's my number 3 is Dash Rendar
though. From where? From what? From what, Lando? From the books?
He was from Shadows of the Empire. I believe he was from Shadows of the Empire. Let me not be talking out of turn.
Word.
Yeah, it's from Shadows of the Empire.
Word.
So it was a book and it was a N64 game.
When did it come out? When did it come out?
Oh, bro. Oh.
All right. Never mind.
I don't even know when it came out.
Never mind. I'll go to my 3. My next.
Yeah. I dropped a link for like the Wikipedia Dash Rendar, you know what I mean? So folks can look them up. All right, yeah. So
Man,
it's on you. It's on you.
man, this is so hard, man. I can't really, I don't know, man. You know, I would have to say honorable mention is Han Solo. You know,
Okay.
that was my honorable mention is Han Solo, just his character arc. But my number three is Count Dooku.
Okay.
And I had to think long and hard, but Count Dooku's character arc, and I really, you know, for those of you who've seen the episodes, y'all know that I'm really, really into Clone Wars, the animated series, so on and so forth. Got into it with my kids. They grew up with it, you know, long story short, right? And Count Dooku's character, you get a real in-depth look at his character in Clone Wars. So it made me want to go back and do more research on his character because, you know, in the movies and the trilogy, you know, in Revenge of the Sith, you don't see him that much. You see him, but not that much, right? But in Clone Wars, you get a real in-depth of his character and his interaction between him and Darth Sidious. And then going back, you find out, obviously, from Revenge of the Sith that he was, you know, Yoda's, you know, Padawan and that whole breakup. Kahari got into his backstory a little bit last week about where he's from. His whole thing, man, is just off the hook to me. Just his decision that he made, why he was Yoda's apprentice and then he became Darth Sidious' apprentice. He knows the whole move from the beginning. He knows the whole Clone Wars. He was the inception as far as the clones becoming, you know, clones, and he knows the whole outlook. He knows the whole game plan from the beginning of the Clone Wars. So that's why I kind of thought of his character as number three. You know what I'm saying? Count Dooku.
Right. Right. Yeah. Nah. Like you said, and I'm still working my way through Dooku. Jedi Lost. I just dropped the link to a book review, but it's a more recent book. And yeah, no, I'm actually I listened to a lot of it and actually went back to the beginning, and I'm about a quarter of the way back through it. Yeah, and you know, it's a really real ill story, very powerful with the Force. You know, and I was actually talking to my good friend Biko Baker out in Wisconsin, and was saying part of you know, Dooku's beef is the beef that a lot of folks have, where it's just like, well, why, you know, are we always going through all this extra rigmarole where why don't the Jedi just run the Republic? You know what I mean? Why are the Jedi like an auxiliary superhero team that whenever the Republic messes up, then the Jedi, you know, comes to clean it up as opposed to just, you know what I mean? Why aren't we just in charge? You know what I mean?
And not only that, you know, he kind of, you know, he came from money, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
he funded a lot of the Clone Wars from the
right.
separatist point of view. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that came from his family, a lot of that money came from him, you know, and the fact that Darth Sidious, man, Palpatine basically used him, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he ain't realized that until the end.
Right.
Right at the end, like there's a look that he gives right when Anakin's about to kill him.
Right.
He looks at Darth Sidious like, oh, it's like that? Like, oh, like word? Like there's a moment where he realizes, oh, this dude played me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's right at that moment at death, though. You know what I mean? So Count Dooku, man, his character arc is just real ill, man. You found a lot about just the galaxy and the universe in general from his character arc. You know, I don't want to take too much up, but Count Dooku is he's an ill Sith, man. Ill Sith dude, man.
Yeah. And also when you get into Jedi Lost, him and Sifo Dyas, like, you know, they were real curious types. So they you know what I mean? They were like going through the temple a couple at least one time in particular where they, you know, came up on some Sith artifacts and you know what I mean? So they were messing around with some stuff at an early age.
Right.
And he, you know, connected to some Sith powers even on his home planet when Yoda brought him when Yoda took him home. But obviously him finding out and how he found out who he was, you know, really played a big role, you know, in his fall, him finding, you know, him being abandoned by his father, you know what I mean? And, you know, his father also being anti-Republic as well, you know, because the story that he was told by his sister, and I don't know if it's the true story, but his sister told him his grandfather defeated the Sith, you know what I mean, and liberated the planet, and that's why the planet is named after their house. You know, the House of Sereno, you know what I mean? And but she really didn't know. It was like kind of, it sounded like a you know, a family tale. And but this is early, you know what I mean, early in the book, and part of the book where actually Ventress is actually going through, you know, his hollow records, you know, as part of an exercise that she has to do, you know, kind of as his young buck, you know what I'm saying? You know, and at the same time, she's being haunted, you know, by her former Jedi master. You know, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's ill. Yeah. So I guess, you know, I'm gonna go to my number 3. My number 3 is like I said, like, just to make things different. So curveball. I got to go with Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One. You know what I mean? You know, I am the Force, and the Force is me. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like, you know, he just murdered that role. You know what I'm saying? And it really tap into the concept of the spirituality of the Force without the superpowers of the Jedi, where, you know, and it really gives you a different perspective, because the Jedi always talk about, like, it's really not me, it's just my ability to connect to the Force, but it's really the Force that's doing it. You know what I'm saying? And you really get that feeling in that closing scene in Rogue One, where you're like, the Force is kind of guiding, you know what I'm saying, you know, his character, you know what I mean, to get, you know, to that button, you know what I mean? And the Force becomes a character in a different way, I feel like, throughout the, you know, kind of the canon.
No, that's dope, man, because I connected the same way, because it seems like the Force, up until that point, the way we introduced to the Force is like the supernatural entity that is its own, like, you know what I'm saying, his own creation. It's like another entity, right, that you tap into. But his character almost like, it's like ancient like the chi, you know what I mean, the whole chi concept, right? That's kind of how I felt with his character. It was like he kind of embodied the Force as chi, as energy, you know what I'm saying, as like, and it was like a healing situation, you know what I mean, like it healed him every moment. Like, it was like his meditation, like his breathing. And it was almost like, you know, like if you know, Taoism, or, you know, ancient martial arts, you know, it's all in that, you know, as far as breathing and tapping into your chi and developing your chi. And that seems like how he approached the Force, right? And that's why I got so much into his character, you know what I mean? Because they brought a lot of that Asian culture and that Asian approach to spirituality to his character and how he approached the Force, right?
Right.
Yeah. I agree, Luke. And to piggyback on that, not only that, but I thought that was like a great way of showing, like, because, you know, like Star Wars, the Force was always like steeped in religious mysticism, you know, from the beginning.
Right.
I just thought that was a great way of showing, like, the way that, you know, like a lot of religion is just people interpreting the same stuff differently. Right. Like, so he had a different practice and a different interpretation of how he did it. And this was the outcome. You know what I mean? Like that.
Right.
Like, yeah, that really was a dope character. I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah, that was my favorite character in the movie, in Rogue One, man. He was like my favorite character, man. I mean, that, yeah, anyway, man. Yeah, definitely. There's so many, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely. I'm glad you brought him up too, man. Definitely.
He was getting down with that staff.
Oh, and I mean, that's the Ip Man. You know, like, they needed to put him in a Star Wars movie. Yeah.
Right.
Donnie Yen's the monster.
Man, he's the man, yo. He's the man, yo.
Yeah, no, it was epic. All right, yeah. So now we're gonna go to the Mandalorians. Number 2 all time Star Wars character.
Yep. Give me 1 second. Oh. All right. So my number 2 all time Star Wars character, and is Darth Vader.
Okay.
And I have to say that, you know, there's lots of like really fair complaints about like the current trilogy and, like, you know, like gaps in the story that weren't filled in. Whenever we first saw Darth Vader in the initial trilogy, he wasn't that badass. Like, he was kind of like living on reputation. You know what I mean? Like, we never really got a chance to see him do and like be like the tough like terror of the galaxy that we all knew he was supposed to be. But I think for like the years following, like they did a great job of filling in that canon. So like if you were to read a book, like Darth Vader is about to pop up, and you know what I mean, and like he just really had great moments in the Clone Wars and Rebels. He was great Rebels, and like in Rogue One, he was like, you know what I mean, he had that iconic scene in Rogue One, and I just feel like, you know, like Darth Vader like ended up being probably like he was always like probably one of the most iconic villains of all time. You know what I mean? But like in my opinion, now he's like a top tier Star Wars character. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely. I mean, no doubt. Like, yeah, man. I mean, that's what I said. You know, I think his character arc is the most probably. You know what the thing about it is, like growing up when we saw Darth Vader in the movies, and you knew how vicious he was, but later on, them filling up the backstory has been incredible, right? It's almost as if like now when you see Anakin or you see Darth Vader, it's kind of like you feel like for him. It's like almost like some you feel sympathy for him, right? Growing up, it was like, man, this dude is crazy. Darth Vader's gonna come and wreck shop. Now it's like, oh man, Anakin's in there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's Anakin.
Right.
You know, like so since now that we know the story, you have a sympathetic kind of heartfelt type of connection with Darth Vader, more so than you know, like, oh man, that's the evil dude type of thing too. You kind of have this tragedy. It's a tragedy story. It's a tragic story, you know.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, it's a tragic story, and I think that, you know, like seeing him from like 7-year-old Darth Vader to like, you know, adult, you know, Darth Vader, he's like on the beach in the volcano, and he's like his legs are burning away. Like that was wild stuff to see. You know what I mean? Like as in a Star Wars movie. Like I would probably say that was probably some of the most graphic violence we ever got in a Star Wars movie.
Man, I think there was a point right at Revenge of the Sith when Anakin became Darth Vader before he got messed up. Yo, man, I would like this. Man, he probably was the most powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the most powerful cats ever at that point. If you think about it, you know what I'm saying? Like right when he had the red eyes. You know what I mean? And like he's walking around about to wreck shop before his whole body gets maimed and everything. Like what would have happened if he would have just went on and just been Darth Vader without the suit? Like how would he have been? Like, yo, he'd have been off the hook. Like if you think like all the stuff that he did in that suit with no arms and no legs, like how like what would he have been like without all of that? Like, yo, anyway.
It's what would he have been if like, because that Rogue One like scene was really like, yo, this is Darth Vader. Like, like he walked up and he kicked in the door to your crib, and now he's in there right now, and you can't get him out. You know what I mean? Like yo, like that was really like that scene really had me in there. Like I'm gripping the couch, like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean?
Yo, like, man, Nate, man, every one of those dudes knew that they was gonna die, man. Oh, like in the hallway, like,
bro, I might off myself before he gets in there. You don't know what.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I got, man. I'm Darth Vader, man. That's my number 2 pick.
That's classic, man.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, and like I dropped the link to Rise of the Dark Lord, you know, which is a book that really gets into that transitional phase between, you know, the end of Revenge of the Sith and the Jedi Purge, you know, and the kind of not just kind of like the opening moments of Order 66, but kind of, you know, Order 66 is a months-long campaign, you know, to really, you know what I mean, chase down the Jedi, and it really gets into that, you know, which is ill, which definitely, like you said, gives a whole other perspective, you know, of who Darth Vader is, you know, how he feels, you know, about how everything went down, and how he kind of grins and bears it, you know, and kind of just makes do with the situation, and then becomes like super powerful.
Let me ask y'all this question: How did y'all take it whenever Anakin pulled up and found all the Tusken Raiders that killed his mom? Then he killed them, and the children and the women and all that stuff. Like, how did you guys take that? Because to me, that's when I was just like, all right, yeah, he's he's gone. You mean like from that
Yeah,
point?
man. Yeah, man. I mean, we all know Anakin had like serious psychological issues, man. I mean, he had a lot of like baggage, man, and I think that is going overboard, but it kind of fit into the whole thing, and he did a lot more worse stuff in the comics, what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, and in the books, he did a lot more worse.
It was like, damn, you gotta like he just did something terrible, but like, how could you not empathize with that?
Right.
Sheesh. Like, and then like, damn, like who, like how terrible a person am I that I empathize with that?
Right. But it's the same thing. Like, you probably feel the same way about like the Joker or Doctor Doom. You know what I'm saying? Any other evil character, right? It's just that with Darth Vader, we know his whole story.
Right.
Like, I think if we like Doctor Doom, like if we knew his backstory, you'd be like, oh, that's the reason why Doctor Doom is like that. Or, we got a little glimpse into like the Joker with in the Batman trilogy, right? A little bit about Joker, and you can see why he trips like that, right? Even the off movie that he did, the solo flick, right? That crazy flick, right? The Joker movie, you got an insight into his whole psychological makeup. You can be like, oh yeah, I can see why he does that. It's like that with Darth and Anakin. You know what I'm saying? Darth Vader and Anakin.
No doubt. So now we're moving to Lukey's.
Oh yeah,
number 2, Star Wars character of all time.
Yo, man, I was just talking. I should have. I got to do another honorable mention, and I got to do Darth Raven.
Okay.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Darth Raven is an old Republic character. There's a couple books. He's in a couple video games. He is a Jedi and a Sith. He was raised as a Jedi. He became a Sith, went back to become a Jedi, and at the end, he was kind of a gray Jedi. He's like kind of the predecessor to the gray Jedi. He's also is akin to the Mandalorian. So he has like an affinity for the Mandalorian clan and their culture. So he wears their mask. And he was the first kind of known Jedi to rock two lightsabers. You know what I'm saying? So that's his whole thing. Darth Raven is definitely one of my favorite characters. I had to give him an honorable mention. But my second one is Darth Maul. And we talked about Rogue One, man. And the last scene in Rogue One when Darth Maul shows up, it's like, oh, smack. She's talking to Darth Maul. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, is Darth Maul up in this piece? I think that if you get into Clone Wars, obviously Star Wars Rebels, Darth Maul was kind of supposedly killed off in Force Awakens, but they brought him back. Dave Filoni brought him back in Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and then you get to kind of explore his character and explore his character arc in Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you feel like in that series, he's obviously wants revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi, but you see his motivation. Darth Sidious played him, pushed him to his side, wanted him dead. You get a lot of his backstory, where he's from. He's a real interesting character, man. He's someone that is kind of out for himself, but also is kind of looking for a comrade, and through the series, he kind of latches on to Ahsoka. And he also, you kind of see his arc throughout the episode. So Darth Maul, man, is my second favorite. You know what I mean, as far as how he rolls and what he does. And I think George Lucas killed him off a little bit too early in Force Awakens, and that's the backstory. Is that Filoni
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. I'm sorry, not Force Awakens. Filoni was upset. Dave Filoni was upset and went to George and was like, yo, man, if you let me do this Clone Wars, I got to bring Darth Maul back. And George let him bring him back. You know what I mean? He found the story how to like kind of bring him back and so on and so forth. So Darth Maul, definitely, man.
That's tough. Yeah. Now Darth Maul, played by Ray Park, is definitely, has always been, considered one of the high points of, particularly the Phantom Menace movie. I think, Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson's performance, Ewan McGregor's performance, and Ray Park's performance kind of stand as for many people, the high points of the Phantom Menace, particularly the fight scene.
Man, how did y'all feel
between.
when y'all first saw him on screen in the
Oh yeah,
Phantom
yeah, yeah,
Menace?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
that when
yeah.
they were on
No,
Tatooine, and it was like, who's this? What character is this, yo? Like, what
right,
is this, yo?
right.
Yeah.
I was a little kid when I seen The Force Awakens. I seen it opening day, and I was maybe like 12 years old. And when I first saw Darth Maul, my first thought was, "Yo, they're gonna sell so many toys with this."
Right.
Yo, because how could you not want that as an action figure? Like, if I want anything as an action figure, I want the dude with the painted face and the spikes in his head and the tool, lightsaber staff that separates. Like, what? But also, I want to say, like, Ray Park is really like a goat in like the action, like stunt double, like arena. Like, dude is such an all-time great, and like he's so underappreciated. I didn't even know he played Toad in X-Men. I didn't know, like, that was the part. Yeah. Like, he's been all over the place, man. Like,
Yo, I didn't know that. I didn't know you played Toad in X-Men.
Yeah. He killed that role.
He
killed that.
Wow. Yeah, no, he's
always. I'm sorry. I just want to say, in fact, he killed that role so much that I don't even necessarily recall any of his lines.
Right.
I just recall him being on screen and being like, "Yo, like, that's crazy." It's like whenever somebody walks in the room with a pit bull, and you're just like, "All right, like, what's he gonna do with it, though?"
Man. Yeah. And for those of you, they brought him back, right? He voices Darth Maul's character in Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. So Dave Filoni brought him back, and actually, George actually regretted that. George Lucas actually regretted, killing him off in Phantom Menace, and for that reason, he didn't really foresee him selling toys and all like that. He just wanted to introduce him as a character and then, like, get him out, kind of set the plot with him and move on. He didn't realize that his character would be such a strong and popular character. You know what I mean? So he regretted that. He said that in an interview a couple years later after the movie.
Did you know they dubbed over Ray Parks' voice in the movie? Yeah.
Did they?
Okay. Yeah, it's not his voice.
Oh, okay.
And I know they've been doing that, a lot for continuity, where they I think it's Jeremy Bulloch who originally played Boba Fett. For the versions, they went back, and now Temuera Morrison's voice is Boba Fett, like, even in the original films now, for the sake of continuity. So I know they've been doing that, because I know Ray Park has been recast. So I think moving forward, anytime Darth Maul shows up, it's not going to be Ray Park anymore.
Right.
So I think, they're probably, getting the continuity right, so they'll have the same voice, throughout the canon.
My last Ray Park comment: The Phantom Menace was his second film role ever.
Wow.
Yo, I might not ever act again. Like, yo, I hit the jackpot with this one. That's amazing.
That's wild. Yeah, so we'll jump to my number 2, and staying along the theme of Phantom Menace and Darth Maul. I'm gonna go with Obi-Wan Kenobi, who just was my favorite character of the original trilogy, and obviously Ewan McGregor's performance in the prequel trilogy, pretty much was the performance of the prequel trilogy. You know what I mean? The one person who was in all 3 movies that held it down. You know what I mean? Like you said, I'm very excited about the miniseries, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon, Yoda, Darth Maul, Darth Vader. You know what I mean? I think we'll get to see all of that, play out. And and he's just, just an ill cat. Even in the like I said, in the prequels, the way Ewan McGregor, portrays him, and just his kind of view of the world. You know what I mean? A little bit cynical. And then you kind of get to see the wise man version with Alec Guinness doing his thing, in the original movie. But yeah, like, Obviously, I could go on forever, but I gotta say, Obi-Wan Kenobi's my number two.
You know, the thing about Kahari, I wonder what you think about this, man, about Obi-Wan and his character. The fact that he had as a master Qui-Gon Jinn, you know what I'm saying, who was kind of a rogue, obviously, who wasn't kind of rogue, was a rogue. And then he as an apprentice Anakin, who was rogue. You know what I'm saying? But yet he was like probably when you think of Jedi Order, you think of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, you know, there ain't no, like, he was like strict by the book, man. Like,
Right.
even on the missions, you know, it was Anakin like, yo, let's do this. And he's like, hold up now. You know what I mean? Hold up. And even in Clone Wars, always before the Clone Wars, but even in Clone Wars, the animation series, you know, Anakin may do something and it may turn out okay, but Obi-Wan is still like cautious. Like, no, don't do that, Anakin.
Right.
Don't do that. And even in the films, you see that a lot too, in that interplay. And it's
He's
just
like,
interesting.
man, yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting that he stayed the course and he kind of stayed online, right? And then after that, obviously him being a Force ghost and learning how to do that, you know, he plays a big role, you know, after Return of the Jedi. But I just kind of wanted to bring that up, see what y'all thought.
Yeah, no, definitely. Nate, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I was just agreeing with Luke and saying that the Obi-Wan was basically, he was like the company man. You know what I mean? He was like the Jedi, you know, marketing representative who had to go and chauffeur these dudes around town and make sure Anakin didn't do nothing crazy. That's what the whole Attack of the Clone movie was him, like, them doing stuff and him saying, Anakin, no, and Anakin, well, but why, Obi-Wan? I'm ready. No, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, that was the whole thing. Like, he was the voice of reason a lot of times.
Right. Definitely. No, definitely. Yeah. So now we're gonna go to number one. Lando's number one Star Wars character of all time.
All right, so real quick, I do want to give another honorable mention too. I want it to be the Obi-Wan because, you know, I can't sleep on him. And what's wild is I was never really even a huge fan of the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan. I really liked the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan just because, like, he was like the kind of like the mean old man, you know what I mean? He you know, he was like the Merlin to Luke's King Arthur, you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
absolutely.
The Mos Eisley scene, like, I just felt like he was so dope. Like, if some old dude drags you down to the bar, you know what I mean? Like, that might be what the interaction's like. But really, what was like one of the most impactful lines in the entire series of movies to me was whenever he told Darth Vader, "If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you could possibly imagine." So, like, I saw that scene when I was very young, and as I got older and I had to deal with death and stuff like that in life, like, you know, like, that was something that I always clung to, you know what I mean? Like, that with that profound, you know, sense that, you know, you can still connect with people who, you know, might not be here anymore. So, yeah, my bad. I don't mean to make my honorable mention take so long. My number one pick is Han Solo. In fact, my number one pick is Han Solo and Chewbacca, just because, like, I feel like you got to take them together. Like, I feel like their interactions, seeing them on screen, that's what made me come back to Star Wars, even more than the Force aspect. Like, that was cool. That was a cool like thing to add in the story to me. But really, I like seeing Han and Chewie on the Millennium Falcon getting it cracking in space. Like, that was like why I tuned into those movies, man. So my number one's Han. Oh, and that's also to say I've never seen the Solo movie. I have no desire to watch the Solo movie. You know what I mean? Like my Han Solo is Harrison Ford. He's like 70-something years old right now. And as much as I try to show love to the new the most recent trilogy, ooh, it pissed me off how they killed that man off. Like, that wasn't the way to do it, bro. Like, that wasn't it.
I was just about to ask you, how did you feel about him? How did you feel about his character in, you know, in Return of, you know what I'm saying, in the last trilogy?
It hurt me. It did hurt me to see it. I get why that was like the thing that needed to happen. Like, you know, I doubt Harrison Ford was coming back for many more movies. We just need to put this thing to rest. But, like, that wasn't my favorite series of events that happened in the movies.
Right. Yeah, man, this big hero running around, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden he's just broken down, you know, drunk, you know what I'm saying? Who's,
Right.
you know, who has all this like, you know, baggage because of his son. And, you know, it was just crazy, man, watching
Now, one
this
of my
character go
favorite
through that.
moments. My bad, Luke. I didn't mean to
No,
cut
no,
you.
no, no, go ahead.
But one of my favorite moments was after Han got shot, and how Chewie just did what we would have expect Chewie to do in that moment. He held it down. Like I was like, all right, that's what Chewie was supposed to do. But like, yeah, that was one of my favorite moments easily from that trilogy. But yeah, like watching him dying, the Solo film, those were two of the low points for me. But Han Solo has to be the hardest dude to me.
That's what's up.
I'm
Luke
next.
Vaughn, yeah, you're number one.
Yeah, man. I have to do another honorable mention, which is you know, because this is tough, man. But I have to do another honorable mention, Luke Skywalker, for obvious reasons.
Right.
You know, you know, I grew up with the comic book series, so after the, you know, after the original trilogy, the comic books was like all love for us, and Luke Skywalker's adventures, that was the comic book to get every week. You know what I'm saying? That was the kind of him and R2D2 going throughout the universe. Um, so Luke Skywalker. All right. My number one character though right now is Ahsoka Tano. And
Okay.
Just just her character arc, you know, watching her in Clone Wars, the series, grow up obviously, through Clone Wars, through Star Wars Rebels, and now she was in a live action with in The Mandalorian, as well as her own series coming up. Um, you see her grow up, man. You see her as a youngling, you know what I mean? You see her grow up to preteen, to teenager, to young adult, you know what I mean? And she's the one of the characters that, you know, recently that we've had a chance to kind of grow up with. I have a special affinity to her because, you know, obviously I have daughters and we all watch Clone Wars. That's how they got introduced to Star Wars. And I got reintroduced to Star Wars with them through that series. And we kind of grew up. They're older now, obviously, my daughters, but they grew up with that character and they really, really have a strong affinity to Ahsoka's character. So her being a woman, not only just that, but her being like one of the most strongest force wielders in the universe. How her character kind of is the storyline of the Clone Wars, and we're going to see a lot more going into the Ahsoka series. So, yeah, Ahsoka Tano. One last thing about Ahsoka, man, I was like, you know, when her character was introduced, I was always waiting for her to like be killed off. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
you know, I was always like every episode, like, man, she's gonna be killed off this week, or she's gonna die this week. She's gonna die this week. And coming to find out, George Lucas wanted to kill her off a couple times, but Dave Filoni kind of saved her character. And this is the one character that Dave Filoni, not one of the characters, but this is his character. He developed her from the beginning. He introduced her, and he has a strong, you know, obviously affection for her. And he actually is writing most of the series, the Ahsoka series that we're going to see
Right.
coming up on Disney Plus. So that's my number one, Ahsoka Tano.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. So now we're gonna go to my number one. I was just queuing it up. You know, my number one. Well, I guess let's talk about Ahsoka real quick. You know, yeah. Now I think one of the cool things is just let us talk about potential full length movie, full feature film. You know, obviously the series, you know, sounds dope. You know, I thought, you know, the episode, The Jedi and The Mandalorian was you know, was dope. Yeah, so yeah.
No, she actually she gets you know, she got expelled from the Jedi Council, right?
Right.
So she gets expelled. So she has a whole other perspective of the Force. Also, her master is Darth Vader, and her master is Anakin, and
Right.
so Anakin, her and Anakin's adventures in Clone Wars are off the hook. Like, like basically, you talk about two rogue Jedi's. They're two rogue Jedi's, and actually, she's always like going against him. She'd be like, yo, I'm about to do this move over here. He's like, no, don't. And she's already doing it. And she'll go and and hook it up and come back, and he'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I taught you well. You know what I'm saying? Like to do the side move like Anakin always does. You know what I mean? So her upbringing and her training is very unorthodox, to say the least. And that's why her character is the way it is, you know.
So Anakin was Obi-Wan with her? Is that like he was channeling his inner Obi-Wan?
Trying to.
Like but that's so dope. Like he was essentially raised by this dude, and you know what I mean? Like that's how fathers and sons are. Like you can influence him, you know what I'm saying? He might take some of it, he's gonna have some of his own and add it to it, and then he passes that down to his kid, you know what I mean? Like Ahsoka, yeah, that's dope. What I wanted to ask was when Ahsoka and Darth Vader fought, was that in Rebels or was that in that was in Rebels?
That was in Rebels. That was in the
they
last.
Got it cracking.
Yo, that was in the last episode. I mean, the last season, next to the last episode in Rebels. Yo, man, that was probably one of the most craziest fights that I ever seen, right, in movie or animation. As far as lightsaber fights between Ahsoka and Darth Vader.
I said they got it in. Oh my goodness,
they got it in. I mean, she got up with him, and you could see during the fight, she does things that, in the way she fights, she does things, some Sith moves, man. I mean, she force choked a couple cats. I mean, she does some things off the hook, man. And in that fight with Vader, you can look it up on YouTube. It's just their fight. It's very, very emotionally charged. And when she realizes it's Anakin, oh my goodness, she almost loses it. She almost loses it. So
because she doesn't know Anakin at first, right?
Yeah. She thinks that he killed Anakin. She thinks that Darth Vader killed Anakin. But Anakin actually comes back and calls her name. He says Ahsoka as Anakin in the scene, right? It's not his Darth Vader voice. It's not it's an ill scene, man. You got me tripping. I'm going to watch it after we get off, actually. It's one of my favorite lightsaber scenes ever, actually. So you could YouTube it for those of you who want to kind of check it out. And it also shows their relationship and the arc of their relationship and the fact that she still has love for him, right? I'm not going to give it all away, but you still see that she still has a strong connection to him, and that's why they're going to kind of investigate that in the series coming up, or it might be a movie, right, Kahari?
Yeah. Let's talk about a feature film.
They're talking about a feature film and a series from the feature film or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
There's a couple things, you know.
Yep. Yeah. Now we'll see if we can find that link. Yeah. So I'll jump to my number one. You know, I've talked about this character numerous times. I'm a big fan of the book, even though it's no longer canon. Darth Plagueis the Wise, you know, the Sith Lord. I just feel like when it's all said and done, you know, his character is just so round. You know what I mean? You know, he's a banker. You know, he's a Sith scientist. He's a manipulator of, you know, social events, you know, propagandist, you know, and he's, you know, Palpatine's, you know, master, and basically put the plan together, you know what I'm saying? And the only part of the plan he wasn't hip to was the part of the plan that, you know, involved him getting taken out. Like, you know what I mean?
Didn't he set the rule of two, Corey? Didn't he do the...
No, he did not. He didn't. Okay. The rule of two came before him. You know what I mean? But you know, in this, you know, may not be canon anymore, but in the book, you know, actually him and Palpatine were actually supposed to rule as co-chancellors. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so Plagueis, so the entire part of the Phantom Menace, when Valorum gets the no confidence vote and Palpatine becomes chancellor, you know what I'm saying? That, like, Plagueis is alive, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't die until the night before Palpatine is made chancellor. And the original plan was they were going to be co-chancellors, at least in the book, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I mean? Darth Plagueis, gets a little tipsy. He got his spine clothes on, gets a little tipsy, and then, Palpatine pulls the, pulls the move that every Sith apprentice pulls on their master at some point. You know what I mean? But Darth Plagueis is just so ill, man. Like, he was rich, he wore fly gear. No one knew he was a Sith Lord other than Palpatine. He was and how he came to be with Darth Tenebrous knew his mom as force sensitive, and then Darth Tenebrous they found a man who was immune, because that was the world that Plagueis was from, who also was force sensitive. So, in return for making Darth Plagueis' father very powerful within the International Banking Clan, he agreed to procreate with this other immune who was force sensitive. You know what I mean? And then Darth Tenebrous basically then took, Hito Damask, who was Darth Plagueis, and took him under his wing. You know what I mean? Knowing that he was going to be powerful with the Force. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But it became clear later in his life that it wasn't even clear if his parents truly had a relationship, because it seemed like actually his mother was much closer with Darth Tenebrous and had a much more intimate relationship. They don't get into anything necessarily untoward, but her relationship was more with Darth Tenebrous than it was with his father. You know what I mean? He was almost kind of like a product of breeding. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Yeah, but just an ill cat. You know what I mean? Like a scientist, kind of like Island of Dr. Moreau type of dude. You know what I mean? But if you get a chance, check out James Luceno's Darth Plagueis. You know what I mean?
And he comes from. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, he comes from what clan he comes from again? What's his
Munilisk? He's from the planet Munilisk.
Yeah, the banking clan, right? They run the banks.
Bankers and lawyers generally are the Munes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And in the Clone Wars, when they controlled the banks, so they gave out loans to the Republic and the Separatists and controlled the whole situation. So their clan controlled the banks, so everybody had to go to them to get money to go to war. You know what I'm saying? So it's ill that he comes from that clan. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he's like Oliver North.
Yeah. Like, more so like he's almost like Alan Greenspan. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, he's like a Rockefeller. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Who like could do some crazy stuff though, like on the low, like a Rockefeller with martial arts. You could like kick who could go out and be like 40 dudes up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's like one of the richest people. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the the International Banking Clan is kind of basically like the basically the International Monetary Fund. You know, he was like basically like the head of the IMF. You know what I mean? Like he was like the head of the World Bank. You know what I mean? So just imagine if the head of the World Bank was also a Sith Lord. You know what I'm saying?
Off the hook. I will say that was an Attack of the Clones.
Which I guess isn't that hard to actually. That's probably not a hard conclusion to draw.
Yeah, they are. They are Sith Lords. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's funny. Yeah. Nah, man.
That's part of why the metaphor is so ill. You know what I mean? It's so aptly suited. You know what I mean?
Now, was that scene in Attack of the Clones where he broke where Palpatine tells Anakin about the story, or that's in Phantom Menace? When he goes and he gives.
No, it's not Phantom Menace. It's I think it's Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, right. It's Revenge of the Sith, right. That's an ill story, man. That's an ill scene, actually. You know what I mean? Like that whole breakdown and how he broke that down and how he talked about his master, and that's an ill scene, man. Ill scene. He stops obviously saying like short of I killed them, but you can kind of get the gist. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that he tells Anakin that story. You know what I'm saying? It's like a real ill story. So that was the first time really that I got introduced to that character. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You obviously read the book, but that whole scene is an ill scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, just like an ill character, like ill with the sword fighting. ill with the force powers. You know what I mean? Just an ill, just an ill individual. Yeah, I'm looking forward to some live action Darth Plagueis stuff that's been rumored. You know what I mean, to be out there coming in the coming years from from the folks over at Disney. You know what I mean? That's going to be super crazy. You know what I mean? So just to run down, the Mandalorian's top 3 characters: Dash Rendar, Darth Vader, Han Solo. Grey Jedi Luke's top 3 characters: Darth Revan, Darth Maul, Ahsoka Tano. And my top 3 were Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis the Wise. Yeah. So we updated on all the latest and the greatest from the Star Wars universe. We dropped links to the High Republic show. I think the next episode will be in March. Ran through our top 3. Yeah, we gotta get Big Phil back on. We'll figure out maybe we'll figure out. We said the cut is 50 minutes long. Maybe we might do a special episode next week where we do like a live viewing of the if it's 50 minutes, we could do a live viewing of the siege, and then do like a half-hour discussion afterwards. We'll be right around the same kind of runtime for the episode. You know what I mean? So so next week, special edition, Siege of Mandalore, Revenge of the Sith supercut live viewing with immediate discussion and reactions afterwards. You know what I'm saying? We'll see if we can get Big Phil back in the building as well. So let's go around for our final words before we get out of here in the next few minutes. So Nathaniel, any final words?
Yeah, so this was dope. It was dope to hear everybody's like top 3 characters and why. I just do want to leave with like one final character that I think is dope but wouldn't make my list, and that's Rey. And it's not because of I didn't necessarily love most of the movies she was in, but when my daughter was like 5, and you'll probably be able to connect with this, Lukey. When my daughter was like 5, we took her to Disney World, and we all got like super sick. Her mom got strep throat and the flu, and so she was stuck in the hotel room. So like it was our last day there, and I took my daughter to Hollywood Studios, and she's a big Disney princess person. Mm-hmm. And as we're walking in, I used to try to get her to watch Star Wars with me. She never had any interest in it. She was not with it at all. And we're walking in, and there's like a scene going where Rey's fighting some stormtroopers like in the middle of the crowd. And all of a sudden she stopped and her face like lit up, and she was like, "Daddy, I want to be that kind of princess." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." So like, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there'll always be a spot in my heart for that, man. That's all I got though, fellas. This was dope.
Oh, that's what's up. Nah, thank you for that. That's great. That's
what's up, man. On that note, man, they're supposed to be. We didn't say this in the updates, but they're supposed to be redoing those movies with Rey.
Right.
Redoing. There's a lot of talk about some episodes. There's a lot of talk about new movies. There's a lot of talk about a new edit. I also saw something about an animation series with Rey. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're throwing a lot out there. I think they're trying to redo her backstory and reintroduce her character. I really think that they missed the opportunity with her character. You know what I'm saying? Right. Her character has so much potential, man.
They could have given something dope to a generation of girls. With that.
My goodness, man! They missed it. They missed. Obviously, we got into it in previous episodes, but I think they're trying to rehash it, and I've been hearing that. So that's my last point: is that they're talking about either a movie, new movies, new edits, or animation series with Rey in it as a Skywalker, or as a Obi-Wan, or as someone, or in Qui-Gon Jinn's lineage, something like that.
Right. Yeah. So and my last word before we break is just gonna follow it, and then that same line we dropped some stuff in the comment section about one of the rumors is a 3-year Disney Plus series that would basically take you. I guess season 1 would be episode 7, season 2 would be episode 8, and season 3 would be episode 9, and it would be a retcon of the entire trilogy, sequel trilogy, and it would basically redo it, taking hours of footage that was not used. And I heard one of the things that they're going to want to do is use unused footage of Luke, Leia, and Han together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was one of the things that you never got to see that. You know what I mean? That reunion. You know, I guess it was some footage shot with a green screen with those 3 that they think that they can use. But yeah, that's one of the rumors we dropped. You know, some of that news in there. So that would be that would just be wild. You know, before we even get into that in the future episodes of Lando's Palace, I'm sure we'll have more information on that and get more info. You know, but that would just be wild. Yeah, just taking that in, the idea of completely, tearing up, the trilogy is starting over and doing it in 3 seasons on Disney Plus. It's like wild. It's like super wild. But yeah,
crazy.
So that's the rumor. Yeah, so that's the latest, ladies and gentlemen, out there and long ago. In a galaxy far away. That's the latest news. You know, we ran through our top 3 Star Wars characters, shared the latest news with the New Republic era TV shows, and talking about how potentially the sequel trilogies could be retcon moving forward. And and next week we'll be back with the latest news. We're going to look into doing this live viewing of the siege / Revenge of the Sith, and until next Sunday at 11 a.m. Stay safe always. As we're still obviously dealing with a huge health crisis in this country. Stay safe, and what we say, dang remit and mud scuffers and nerf herders and all that fly stuff. So on behalf of my co-host, we're gonna bring Big Phil, bring back Big Phil. We're gonna start a campaign. Hashtag bring back Big Phil.
Man.
So for the Mandalorian, Nathaniel Broadus, Grey Jedi Lukman Abdul Salam, I am Kahari Mosley, and this was episode 8 of Lando's Palace. All right, y'all. Peace.